We had our lunch meeting, our kind of annual meeting where we discuss numbers and whatnot. And like we have like one extra person on our team, technically two, because I think last year when we did this, one of my guys was out on military leave.
Yeah.
And so like I was talking to my wife and I was like, should I get the XL meal for 18 or for 12? Like there's no like 16 or anything in between it. And she's like, how many people you got? I said 15. She goes, get the 18. I got the 18 and there was so much food left over. And then
Yeah.
when I told her how much I spent on it, she said, bring it home. Because I was gonna be like, "Yo, y'all want to take some to go plates? Y'all want this, that, or that? Go ahead. You know, if there's anything left over, I'll take it home." She's like, "No, bring it home."
Bring it home.
So I've been eating pulled pork or burnt ends for like 4 days.
That's
trying. All right, man. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and you are listening to the show that is rocking the Travis Kelce. It's another episode of It's a Black and White Thing with A1 and A Ward.
The wild cherry Pepsi.
I don't know why they did my guy like that, man. Like he's just minding his business. He wasn't trying to, you know. I don't know what this is. We just started. Oh, yikes.
You know what's funny is I actually put somebody on to Los's podcast like 2 nights ago. I was talking about my podcast, and they were like, "You do a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You know, it's just about sports." They're like, "I'm not big on sports." I was like, "Well, I got another podcast you can listen to, you know, and put them on to talk that real." So, you know, I did my charity for the year.
All right. Dope. Shout out to the homies B, Reese. Man, I need to see if Reese is actually can free himself long enough to actually, you know, talk about the Chiefs. I know he is Mr. Everything right now to everybody. So I would love to have him at some point, if maybe next week. He said it, not me, Los. I did not say charity. I would love to have Reese on. He's a contributor to Arrowhead Pride to talk about the Chiefs and about this game that's coming up Sunday. All right. We got a good show lined up for you. Got a couple of things we want to talk about. Going to talk about, obviously, the Super Bowl. Going to talk about, I want to talk battle rap because obviously some big news broke this week with the OG Smack White himself.
Yeah.
And about the big bag and what that may mean for battle rap, what that may mean for artists, so on and so forth. So we can get into that. But let's start with we're gonna start with a sports angle, if you will. So I ran across let's talk about the history of the fade. I would love to get a barber to come on and give us an actual history lesson. I might holler at my homie Mano. Did my mouse just die? I mean, nothing's popping up on the screen. I would love to get my homie Mano on to talk about the history of the fade, and we can do that. So let's get into it. So I want to talk about something that I found to be interesting. Hopefully you'll find it to be interesting, especially if you are engaging in this activity, and that is gambling, right? So I happen to see, hold on, give me 1 second. Like my mouse is not working. Like I'm not sure what's happening. Like I'm trying to actually pull up this doggone these stats so I can actually see it, but it is not working. Like I can't pull comments up on the screen. It's connected. Man, Apple is letting me down something vicious right now.
It seems like that's a weekly thing, you know. All I'm gonna say is
it's every other week right now. It's every other week. I don't know what's happening. Hold on, I can't even remove myself from the pot, like from the stream. I don't know what's happening.
I'm glad we weren't like wide version because like Norman was just like in the cat litter box over here just doing his thing. I'm looking at him on this. I'm like, I can kind of see him. I'm like, we were in the wide version, but hey, Norman's alive. Let him do whatever he wants.
All right, I'm not going to close out this. Man, like people saying dish the Apple, and I'm like, I can't even put your comment on the screen so I can even see, so the world can see it. Either way, anyway, let's talk about gambling. So, and I'm on my phone, so I can't even look up the stats because I'm using my phone as a camera. So the stats basically are saying that gambling is up in the NFL. last year broke a record in terms of how many people gambled and how much was gambled. I just saw a stat, we were talking before the show started, that 68 million Americans are scheduled to place a bet on the Super Bowl this year. That's a 35% increase over last year, which was a record. And we're also talking about, I believe, over $1 billion. Yeah, there's the notes.
Big enough, the Android, you could actually read it from there because,
Yeah. There's been a proliferation of younger people, especially in college, who are gambling. They are taking their funds that are meant for financing their education. They're putting it on these apps, Prize Picks. I almost said Don't Flop because that was FanDuel, DraftKings, and and making these wagers. And it is hurting them, obviously from a financial standpoint, but also in their ability to get an education, because the money meant to go to their schooling is going to these apps. And so for me, as I looked across the landscape of what has happened over the last couple of years, there's a quote from Roger Goodell in 2015 in which he was asked about whether or not the NFL would ever sponsor or be partners with casino gambling sites. And he unequivocally said, no, that is not something that we will do. And then a couple of years later, Vegas gets a team, DraftKings, Caesars, all of these sites are partnering with not only the NFL, but with the owners and with players. So I said all that to say, do you think, oh gosh, I wish proliferation is P, or somebody, Trent says spell proliferation. And
yeah, it's PROLIFERR. Is it double R? I think it is double R.
No R. Just one R, not two.
Proliferation, yeah.
So PROLIFERATION, proliferation. There we go. So I said all that to set up this question. Do we have a sports gambling problem in America?
Good question. So I would be interested to know, if going back 5 years or even a decade, what the average age of like the I guess bettor or gambler would be. You know what I mean? I would say that it probably has dropped 5 or 6 years, or 5 in the last like decade. Because I just think about myself, I just think gambling for me was always kind of like an older, like older type people thing. It wasn't like once you turned 21, you started gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Once you turned 21, you started drinking. Once you turned 21, you started going to the clubs. It wasn't like, I get to gamble now. However, now, with it being at our fingertips in, I don't know how many states right now, but I think it's probably closer to 20 states.
I think it's 30. I think it's 30.
30. Okay, yeah. So, within the realm of just being able to pull up your phone and do it right there. My thing is this: is like the younger crowd is doing it, and anytime the younger crowd is doing something like gambling, it can be a problem, because a lot of times they don't have the finances or the maturity or the wherewithal to know how to handle something as dangerous, as gambling can be. And so, with those numbers being exponentially, bigger than last year and the year before, like I would say that we are definitely trending towards it being, I think what we were talking about earlier off of camera, like a silent, what was it, epidemic?
Yeah, silent epidemic. Yeah, absolutely. So I do think we might have a problem, right? And I think we've talked about this in the past, and I've talked about how I've been annoyed at just how much gambling has infiltrated the sports landscape, right? Like it used to be when you would watch like a football game, it's a blowout. Maybe someone scores a late touchdown that can be considered a bad beat, right? And you would have one of the like Brent Musburger or Al Michaels go, well, that touchdown is going to be of interest to some of you out there, right? Like it was kind of like a silent wink and a nod, right? Well, now, I mean, you got shot to Matthew Berry, but Matthew Berry is giving you his picks of the week, right? He's telling you, oh, I'm on Prize Picks and I'm taking Tyreek Hill over on receptions or yards, or I'm taking Patrick Mahomes under on passes. Like now you're given kind of like these stone cold locks, things that you had to call a hotline to do, or go to a website to get, that maybe if at your job might be blocked because it's a gambling content, right? Now you can just pick up your phone and you can do it. And I do think, part of this is it's competition, right? I don't know if we necessarily think about it like that, but it's you versus the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you have these interested parties that you're invested in hitting these marks. And so, like you said, with young people, it is something that more and more young people are getting their hands on, not just young people, but people our age, people older than us, people who are professional, who maybe used to call a bookie. Now they can just go to DraftKings or FanDuel or Caesars or, whatever apps that exist and make bets. And I feel like with a site like Prize Picks, I feel like Prize Picks makes it really easy, right? Because their whole game is over under, right? Like you think somebody's going to get more or less. That is super simple. And with the competitive nature, we think we know sports, right? Yeah. Any schmuck go, oh yeah, LeBron James is good, or this person is not, right? And so you know more than the experts. And so this is a virtual pros versus Joes with money on the line, because the people who set these lines in Vegas, they are the pros. Shout out to Mr. Biscuit in the building, man. I can't get this. Like I said, I can't get the notes up, but shout out to Mr. Biscuit in the building. But yes, I think this is an epidemic, and I think this is a true problem. And here's my concern. My concern is that with the general sadness, anxiety, unhappiness that people are experiencing in life and that they're projecting on the internet, that someone is going to bet something on these games. They're going to fall short. It's going to be almost everything they have, if not everything they have. Yeah. And they're then going to try to hurt themselves, someone else, or an athlete themselves.
Right.
To me, that is kind of like the final end game, which I hope never happens. But you see what happens so I'll use you as an example, right? Like you had a stretch where I think you might have posted online like, yo, KD, like, bro, you owe me bread, right? You owe me bread. Like you fell short. Like you were 1 point or a couple of points away. I hit this huge parlay and you let me down. Right. And you see that all the time on social media. I mean, you see that from a fantasy perspective. Right. And so I feel like you have all these people who are investing in this heavily. And if it doesn't end up with the promise that they thought, that they're going to try to harm people. And I use myself as an example, and I'll let you can have the floor. I think I might have told this story on the show before, but playing fantasy football, I drafted Roy Williams, wide receiver, second round of my fantasy draft. He was on the Cowboys that year. And, I'm thinking he's going to have a banging year. He stinks up the joint. And I never forget, I watched him drop a couple of passes. One might have been a touchdown. And I get online and I start Googling Roy Williams' address. And this is when these things were a lot easier to find, because I'm like, yo, I'm pulling up and you about to run my fade. And listen, I didn't have anything I didn't have money on the line. It was just my pride. Like I didn't have no bet, no prize picks, no parlays, no over-unders, anything on the line. It was simply my pride was hurt because Roy Williams was stinking up the joint. And at that point, I realized, you know what? Maybe I should quit playing fantasy football. And I had retired from all my leagues until we started talking crazy online on Twitter. And that's how Win or Go Home was birthed, was us talking crazy back and forth about who knows more about football and da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, man, like I said, that's me with nothing on the line. I can't imagine someone who's putting $500, $1,000 or et cetera on the line, losing it. And now, again, this is just another thing that's gone wrong in their life, and they're looking for someone or something to take it out on. So that's my spiel, man.
Yeah, I know. Like on the document, you have like the question: is there a such thing as gambling responsibly? And that's an interesting question, because I tend to look at gambling the same way you look at kind of like drinking and doing different things, like, in moderation. I don't necessarily think it's entirely a bad thing. But man, responsibly, the word gamble doesn't even sound like a responsible, word. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just the verb itself means like to risk. You know what I mean? And I don't know that that's a responsible action is risking. So that's kind of like kind of a way to look at it. But yeah, I would just say like, man, like you and I went to Vegas for the first time ever. What's it been like? How long?
It'll be
10 years?
10 years this year, 2014. It'll be 10
So
years in
10 years ago,
October.
and I'm sure you're okay with me saying this or whatever, but when we get back, we find this website like Bovada, right? And we spend time on this website that, it's not an app. It's not anything you can really like, you have to go through this website. Half of my debit and credit cards wouldn't even deposit any money into the account because it came off as this like offshore transaction. And then to get your money, if it was like they had to mail you a check and you'd have to wait like almost like 20 business days to get a check, And so we were gambling on something like this, because it was just kind of fun. It was like we went to Vegas for the first time ever. We was at the sports book, like, oh, I got to get a little bit more of this, to the point to where we were willing to risk getting our debit cards shut down, for fraud, and of course they were mailing checks because they didn't want you to ever take the money. They didn't want you to like, never mind, I'm just going to use it. But anyway, I say all that to say it's like it's designed, for them to win and you to lose. Like that's what it's designed for, And so that's why all of the biggest and brightest lights in those buildings and everything in Vegas, and they're up 24 hours a day. And, it's like you're walking around and you're looking around like, I'm paying for this. Like right now, I am paying for this, And so I don't know that like gambling responsibly is a thing because it's definitely designed for you to lose, and it's a risk. So I don't know that that's like an existing thing. I look at it more so as a game, like I look at it as a video game or as something that I would pay to go do that I think is fun. I enjoy, of course, would I love to win? Yes. But I enjoy playing fantasy football because it's fun throughout the year. We put in $100, somebody gets paid out at the end. That's a gamble, you know what I mean? But it's fun to do, I enjoy betting on certain games and different things, and it makes me watch those games, and it puts some kind of like extra like fun incentive in, me watching the game, watching the plays, I enjoy watching sports. So I look at it a little bit more so on the this is fun side of it rather than I really need to get paid out here,
Yeah.
And so as somebody who like, bets $10, $5 here, there, on every week, like it's always something that I'm like, okay, if I'm at the bar, I want to go throw $5 on a papa shot. I'll play papa shot. I want to go throw $10 on a pool table. I'll put $10. I want to go put $10 on a parlay. Now I'm watching this game, counting rebounds. All right, come on, Jokic. I need 3 more. Like that's kind of how I look at it, in the context. And so, of course, yeah, like you said, you get those, 17 leg parlays you miss by one because Kevin Durant, but I would say the most responsible way to gamble is to look at it that way, not to look at it as like a lucrative income, like to bet as like I need to make more money, but to look at it as like a way to kind of, test your knowledge for sports and get to watch different games different ways,
Yeah.
But it can be responsible. Listen, I mean, the other night I lost like $25, right? And I was irritated about it. So now, boom, now it's hit my emotions, right? So it's hit my emotions. I'm irritated about it. I'm up writing. It's 2 a.m. And I look up and I'm like, the Samsung Vipers are playing against the LG Skyscrapers in Korean Basketball League. And I'm literally like, well, my phone's Samsung. So Samsung's going to win. You know what I mean? So I thought I'm trying to win my 25 back. I'm betting on Korean Basketball League that I don't know a player's name. I don't even know how long the quarters are. I don't know if there's a 25-point shot in that game. I'm not sure. There could be a completely different set of rules. But here I am, trying to win my little $25 back because it hurts your pride, that you lost, you know what I mean? And so that's what's very, very difficult and very, tough to navigate through, because a lot of people that have those gambling issues don't know when to stop, and think that the next one is the one that's going to get them. You know, the one that's going to.
Yep.
Oh, I got this next one, or and with anything, that's dangerous.
Yeah, and I mean, like, shout out to Mama Ward. She said, "No risk, no reward." And her point is it's not a black and white thing. And I think there are shades of gray to it. Shout out to Smoke Kings TV in the building. I think to me that's the thing, though, right? It's like those early stages, especially like early on, like you hit like a hot streak, right? You place enough bets, at some point you're going to win. You're going to have a hot streak, right? And so then immediately after the hot streak comes the losing streak.
Yeah.
And now you're chasing, right? So it's like, my thing was early on, I would place bets on the morning games. And then based on how the morning games went, then I would place bets on the afternoon games, win or lose. But then like when you have like a parlay, a 6-leg parlay, and you hit 5 out of the 6, and that 6th one is just like, I ain't never betting on the Falcons again. Like I told myself last time, don't do it. Don't trust Matt Ryan. Here I am again. So now you're like looking at these afternoon games and you're like, yo, bet. Like I got this 3-leg parlay, right? And so like you just end up, like you said, it becomes it's a competitive thing. It's your pride, and now you're chasing. And I think one of the great points that they made when talking about, in particular, the college kids, but I think this applies to the adults as well. Like when someone is on drugs, they're substance abuse or something like that, you can tell, right? There's a physical change in their makeup, right? Their cheeks, bones get sunken in, weight loss, weight changes. Right. When someone is addicted to gambling, like you don't know.
Got a clue.
They look. I mean, granted, their mood might be different because they're riding the wave of the game, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's no physical change in them, so they could be gambling and giving away their entire life.
Yeah.
And you won't know it until they either call you and open up, or until you get that, yo, did you hear what happened to so and so? Like they lost their house, they lost their home, their marriage is over, their relationships, they've severed relationships because of all these things. And you're just like, yo, like I just was with them, everything seemed to be cool. And so like, I would advise people, if you got folk who are like, not granted, you got people who are really good at it, but if you got someone who is, heavy into it, I'm not saying you got to check in weekly, but every blue moon, just ask, yo, how you been? Like, how you been doing on your bets, whatever. Because like you said, that could be something that people are hiding and dealing with. And look, I make the joke all the time, like 1-800-bets off. You know what I'm saying? But like, find you a counselor, find someone you can talk to who is certified in these things to help walk you through these things, to get you off that narcotic, if you will. Because like once you get in that lane, man, it can be very hard to get out of it. For me, I was always a risk averse person. So like I never really bet crazy sums of money. I might have bet over $25, maybe 3 times, maybe. I was always a $5 guy, $5, $10, $15 guy. And for me, the losses are what got me out. I'll share this quick story. We can move on. I had a 9-leg parlay on the NBA. It's like a $5 bet. I would have netted $1,300, $1,400. All 8 legs hit. Little bit of concern in some of those 8 legs. I get to the final leg. Kings, San Antonio. This is the end of this is 2014. So this is the end of the Duncan era.
So this is on Bovada.
This is on Bovada, end of the Duncan era. 13.5-point spread for the Kings. All they got to do, just lose by 13. This is not the Kings we know now, but the lottery bound every year Kings, stinking up the joint Kings. And that game hovered around 13, 15 all game long. And then it finally got to the fourth quarter, and Tim Duncan and Ginobili and them go on a run, and they blow the game open. They win by like 22-25. I may have placed at that point maybe one more bet on the NBA, because that loss was like so crushing to me. It was like, yo, that I was, again, in Vegas, you can never count the bread until it's all zeros. But I was already making future bets in my head with that bread, because I know I hit. I knew I was going to win. Like they made a run and got it down like a 10-point game. I'm like, oh yeah, we good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't overthink it, Sacramento. Do your thing, you know. And they ended up losing the game, and I was like, yo, man, I'm done. Same thing with football. Like just like I said, the Falcons burned me enough times. It's just like, bro, I can't do this no more, man.
Yeah,
I can't.
I said it last night in a Twitter Spaces, and I'm not saying that this is what you should do or what you shouldn't, but like if I've ever bet big money, it's always a Tennessee game or like a Chiefs game, you know, because if you know me, what I do is I say to myself, if I could pay the refs for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, how much would I pay them? Right? If it was guaranteed the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, how much right now would I budget out of my account to pay the refs? And I take that number and then I bet it on the other team. And so I bet it on whoever's playing the Chiefs so that when the Chiefs win, I can feel like, all right, I paid the refs and they won. When they lose, I got money. You know what I mean? Like that's literally how I do the emotional hedge every time. If it's a Tennessee game, the same way. All right, cool. Man, I remember 2 years ago, the Hendon Hooker game, the torn ACL, you know, literally we're a 22.5-point favorite against South Carolina. They're like plus 870, I think, to start the game. If all we got to do is beat South Carolina, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, it might even just been South Carolina and Vanderbilt. All we got to do is win those 2 games, and we're headed to the college football playoff. You know, we got 1 loss. We beat Alabama. I said, all right, cool. I put like $250 on South Carolina. Bro, like, that's what I was saying. Like, I'd pay $250 because I know we're going to beat Vandy. It came out with like close to like $2,000 or whatever, and just Hendon Hooker tears the ACL, we lose. I'm so mad at life, but I was like, well, at least I got this.
Like you got the money to dry your tears.
Yeah. What Royce the 5'9" say? Money doesn't buy happiness, but I'd rather cry in a Bugatti or whatever, or something like that.
That's Swoop. That's Swoop. Shout out to Swoop.
Yeah, I think Royce said it first, but shout out to Swoop.
Oh, okay. My fault. Yeah,
Swoop
money.
But
Swoop,
no,
that's his hook.
But yeah, no, I definitely, we have a group chat or whatever, and I know that we post some of our bets and stuff in there, and I'm thankful that we do have a semi level-headed crew of guys that'd be like, hey, yo, you good? Yo, Ward, Zhang Wu, table tennis. You don't need to be betting on her. Like, go to bed.
Yo, I mean, like, shout out to the people who can make a living. I think one of the wildest things.
Just so y'all know, I'm not making racially insensitive jokes. These are real people that I've bet on before.
Listen,
I want y'all to know that. Like,
it was too on the money for us not to get that part, right? Like, you just didn't pull that name out of thin air. Like, oh yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, he's definitely placed a bet on Zhang
I'm not
to win a table tennis match.
Yeah.
But nah, like, I think the wild thing of being in Vegas that first time was like, talking to people, right? Because I'll say this about the sports book. The sports book is so dope because like people are so friendly, right? They're showing you their betting slips. We're watching the game together. It's a communal experience, right? And so it was a black dude. Black dude was like, yo, yeah, man, like I live here. I moved here X amount of years ago. And he's like, this is my side job. Like, I got a day job. I think something like IT, computer program or whatever. But he was like, yeah, man, I made like, 4-5 a month. And he starts showing me his betting slips. And he's like, yeah, I'm betting on hockey. He's like, I can't name not one of them, but I make money off of them. I'm like, wow. Like me, like I said, like I'm a sports guy. I think I could do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so, man, I don't know. Like again, make sure you check in on your people.
The other thing was too, and we can switch the topic in a second, was, when we went to Vegas, it kind of goes back to do we have a gambling problem, and is there such thing as gambling responsibly? When we went to Vegas, one of the most difficult things and one of the like really sobering things, of being in Vegas was walking into casinos, seeing all the money, right? People just like millions probably going, and then walking out and literally walking over like homeless people that are like right on the sidewalk, like urine here, litter, trash, just people with absolutely nothing, and you're like stepping over them to go in here and watch people throw money away. You know what I mean? And that was a really sobering thing. And that's kind of the picture of gambling. You know what I mean? And so like when you're looking at it, you're just kind of like, man, like I understand that there's some kind of fun and entertainment in putting this money here and watching games and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm sure there are other ways that are better to be using that money, because there's a real world out here of people, you know, that don't even have that, you know, ability, you know, that don't even have a phone to download the app.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, man. Like I said, make sure you check in on your people, man. Make sure they're doing good. Like I said, hopefully, here's the last thing I say, and we can move on. Hopefully I doubt they are, but the people at DraftKings, at FanDuel, because again, they are the reason why we have this access. Obviously, the governments who have bear some culpability in this because they have legalized it, like I said, in 30 states. But hopefully there are some safeguards and some type of counseling that are being put in place to help people. And yes, gamble. If you want to gamble, do so, but make sure you do as much as possible, do so responsibly. And if you find yourself spiraling, man, delete the app, bro. Like, delete the app. Do what you got. Get accountability. Do what you got to do, because I hate to see somebody out there bad because they made some decisions with their bread and it didn't turn out well for them. So y'all let us know what y'all think, man. What y'all think about that? Do you gamble? Do you think that our society has a gambling problem? And if so, how should we address it? And if not, I like to hear the other side of that too. Hit us up at Brains and Bars on Facebook, IG, and Twitter. Shout out to Austin Lawrence. He had this question. He says, Ward, you're the Mahomes of battle rap. Who's the Brock Purdy of battle rap?
Who's the Brock Purdy? The Brock Purdy is Frack.
Why Frack?
Just because, like, I think Frack is kind of, well, one, he's from the Bay. The Niners play in the Bay. Two, Mahomes has about 5 times the amount of game experience than Brock Purdy, and Frack's only got like 10 battles. Like, 3, like, Frack can get you wins. You know what I mean? And he has very few losses. And I think Brock Purdy only has 4 losses.
Yeah, 4 losses.
He started and finished. There's not a lot of flashiness about Brock Purdy, but he gets the job done. He's often looked at as the underdog until you see him play, and then you're like, wow, you know, he's really good. I'm surprised, you know. So for those reasons, that's why I'll go Frack.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. There you go, Austin. You got your answer.
Great question, because you got the first part right. That's a fact.
All right, man. Let's talk about this Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Chiefs, Niners. My nightmare scenario has returned 4 years later. And I want to say they might. Nah. It'll be 3 years before they play them again, because they just played them last season. So
every leap year, we're gonna play them in the Super Bowl.
So let's get into this matchup, man. So I think I had in my notes, we talked about X factors. So if you had to pick or choose, who might you have as an X factor in the game?
The X factor for me, it's probably going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to say Willie Gay. I mean, I would like to go with the whole linebacker core, but I'm going to say Willie Gay. I just think, man, like last year's team was not nearly as good defensively, but the Super Bowl turned when Nick Bolton made the play to return the fumble for a touchdown. And so I do think, however, at this point, you know, it's going to be difficult. There's so many weapons there. Christian McCaffrey, Debo, everybody, you know what I mean? They're all going to be healthy. They're all going to be playing. Keeping them out of the end zone. And then, man, if we can force any kind of turnovers, like, that's a huge win. I would be hard pressed to say the team that forces more turnovers is going to win the game. And for some reason, Willie Gay's a lot of times he's around the ball, whether it's recovering a fumble, whether it's a tip pass or something like that. So I'm gonna go with Willie Gay. Also think that those linebackers got to get McCaffrey down before he gets second level and pass. Like he can't be averaging 7 to 8 yards again. I think he's going to run the ball anywhere from 18 to 22 times. I really can see him carrying the ball 18 to 22 times on Sunday, and they got to keep him from making that 20-yard run, that 30-yard run.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I have the linebacker crew. If I have to single one out, I'm going to go with Drue Tranquill. I think this has got to be a big Drue Tranquill game. Mm-hmm. So Bolton and Gay are really good, but they have limitations in the pass game. For all the Chiefs fans who can remember the last couple of years of screaming, why doesn't Willie Gay play more when Ben Niemann was getting all the snaps, especially on passing downs? I think in part because I think Willie is really good as a run stopper. I think he and Bolton have limitations in the passing game. They brought in Drue Tranquill to be the replacement for Niemann, right? And Drue has, to his credit, has been really good in the run as well, especially in the playoffs. Yeah. But he is the guy that, shout out Notre Dame guy, who started, he was recruited as a safety, bulked up to get to be a linebacker rover within the Notre Dame defensive system. And so that has served him well at the next level. And to me, it just kind of spinning ahead past the Super Bowl, it makes for an intriguing option of what the Chiefs will do in the offseason because both Tranquill and Gay are up for new deals. And so who do you sign going forward? But to me, this has to be a big Drue Tranquill game because the thing about the Niners is the Niners can come out in 22 personnel, 21 personnel. And normally when teams do that, you can key off of that being a run. But Juicewick can be a threat in the passing game. Obviously, Christian can. George Kittle is one of the best all-around tight ends in the game, right? I'm blanking on the young man's name who's 89 for the Niners, but Werner, he's Charlie. I think it's Charlie. He's not someone who he's basically like the emergency option. If Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, right, are open, then he's trying to find them. But to me, from that side of the ball, I think this has to be a big Drue Tranquill game because if the Niners can somehow get, in particular, either Debo, because he'll be in the backfield sometimes, or McCaffrey lined up against Bolton, that's a win if everything else can hold up around Purdy and he can get the ball to him. Yeah. I'd say X factor for the Niners. I have two. I think one is I'm going to pick on Ambry Thomas because he is the mark, right? If you don't know what the mark is someone that you can pick on and be successful, right? Like, he's had an uneven playoffs, probably more bad than good. I think Charvarius Ward is going to be good. I think in key situations, you might see him shadow Kelsey or Rashee Rice. Deommodore Lenoir has played increasingly better as the playoffs have gotten along. So I'm not as concerned about them initially. But to me, Ambry Thomas lined up against Richie James, or if he gets lined up against Rashee Rice because he plays in the slot sometimes, or McCole, right? Like that's my concern that he's going to get beat. And then Javon Hargrave. Javon Hargrave got a big deal to come to San Francisco, and while he does things that don't show up in the stat column, he was signed in part to be a disruptor, getting by the guards and getting in the backfield, making stops, getting after the quarterback. And it has not been that for much of the season. It's been very uneven. He's going to be lined up against Nick Allegretti for most of the game. So he's got to win that matchup. Because the best way to get to Mahomes is you got to collapse that pocket from the inside, because Bosa and Chase Young are athletic enough to make life difficult for Mahomes if he tries to break, contain, and get outside the pocket. But he and Buckner are going to have to do their jobs, collapse the pocket from the inside, and let your edge rushers finish the job. So, those are to me, those are the X factors.
Man, I know. I mean, obviously, he's one of my favorite players, but I really think Jauan Jennings is like a huge X factor in this game. I think extending plays and getting those what we call 3rd and Jawans, you know what I mean? Like the Chiefs have such great defensive backs. You know what I mean? Like forcing those balls to Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, you know, are going to be tough. But like you said, if Willie Gay or if some of these other guys, you know, if Bush or I'm not sure the other Mike Edwards, somebody is down there, you know, him extending the drives and getting key 3rd downs that could possibly put 7 on the board or even 3 on the board rather than a punt or a field goal are going to be huge. Because we know we always have this saying, like, just in fantasy football, you know, Cotton coined the phrase, like, you know, just get your number, you know, just get, you know, like Debo's going to get his, Ayuk's going to get his, Christian McCaffrey's going to get his, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know that that's going to stop that. But man, if Jauan Jennings puts up, you know, 4 for 39 and you know, or something like that, and he's got 2 first downs or whatever, it could be huge for the 49ers.
For sure. Yeah, Jauan is so important because he is, like, from a basketball term, he's the garbage man. Right? Like is this
Real Deal's favorite the glue guy. He's the
But I mean, it's the truth though. Like he is like, he's not going to put up a 9-catch 130-yard performance with 2 touchdowns. Like, he's not going to be that for you.
Yeah.
But what he will do, like you said, on a crucial 3rd down, he's going to get open. Right? He's going to block his tail off. Like, it's been shown several times over and over again, his blocking highlights throughout the play.
I don't know if you heard the coach talk about, like, how in practice the defense wanted to fight him. Like that's how he approaches practice too. Like, they was like, no, this is him every time. Like, you know.
Absolutely. And so, like, he's that guy who is the ultimate team guy. Like, again, Jauan is, when compared to his counterparts on that team, no, Real Deal. Right. He's not the most athletic. He's not the fastest guy. He is like the gym rat type guy when compared to athletically to his peers. But yeah, he does all those little things and
he's got that dog in him.
He has that dog in him. And I love having him on my team. And I want him to be a 49er for as long as possible because of that. Because granted, Christian McCaffrey, dog. Debo, dog. Ayuk, Kittle, like Trent, dogs, right? Brock Purdy's a dog.
I feel like they all look at Jauan like, that's big dog, though.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, like, that guy is crucial. Like, he's going to be lined up against Trent McDuffie. And look, Trent McDuffie is, because he works out of the slot.
Yeah.
He a dog too.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be a dog fight this entire time. So I mean, like, I'm excited. I'd say I hate my computer's not work. I wish I could figure out what's wrong, because I have a rant that I played that after they played 4 years ago about shock and the running game and narratives and all that stuff. And in part, you know, a lot was made about at the end of the game about the Niners not running the ball to try to bleed the clock. Now, a couple of things. I saw a Niners content creator, and if this is the truth, this sums up Jimmy Garoppolo in a nutshell. But he said that those plays where Chris Jones was batting those passes down, those were run plays, and Jimmy checked out of them. He checked out of them from a run to a pass. You know, again, they were open. Chris just made a good play. But if for some reason the Chiefs or the Niners are in this situation again, where it's 20-10, they just picked off Mahomes in the end zone, and there's 10 minutes left, you can guarantee that 23 is getting the ball.
Yes, he is. Yes,
you can guarantee he's going to see the rock a lot. And so, I mean, we can talk about predictions real quick, man. Like, I guess I got one other question before we get into predictions, and it's about Brock Purdy. Is there anything Brock Purdy can do, in part, to change the mind of his detractors? So if he comes out and he has 30 for 39, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he leads the game-winning drive, do you think that would be enough to, let's just say Nick Wright, because Nick Wright is one of the loudest detractors against Brock Purdy? Do you think that would change people's minds? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Guys, we might have to take a break. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. So here's what I say. Well, I'll see if we can get Ward back because obviously something has gone wrong. Matter of fact, let me go look on. Okay, I'm still good. All right, so I'll say this. I hope that there is something that could be done to change the detractors' minds against Brock Purdy, especially if he plays a good game. If he has a good game, then yes. Nope, I lost him. I'm actually, you know what? I'll be right back. We're going to take a break because I want to see you. I want to see if I can get Ward back here. So we'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. I want to have a new stream up in just a second. Maybe. Let me see. Well, dang, I done froze too. I don't know if I'm even out of here. Hold on, y'all. Yep, I cannot get out of here. I can't even force close. This is going to make a great reel and a blooper reel. I'm going to tell you that much. Like Ward, I don't know. You could probably, I don't know if you're watching on another device. Like I can see you in this thing. Like, bro, hold on. Let me undo this. Like I cannot get this thing to force close, bro. Because I wanna get you back to at least talk about the battle rap part of things. We can get a prediction. I'm gonna send you a new link. I'm gonna force close my computer, send you a new link, and then we'll pull back up to close out. All right. That's hilarious. All right, hold on. There we go. Oh wow. All right. For the two people who are still watching me, I appreciate you. Let me see if I can get Ward back. Hold on 1 second. Dog, this is gonna make me mad when I gotta edit this later, by the way. Mm, mm, what am I looking for? I'm looking for all right, I'm gonna tell Ward use the same link. Let's see. See if he'll see it. Anyway, I'll give my prediction on who I got winning this thing. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. I got the Chiefs. I'm gonna say 2017. No. I'm gonna go 21-10. I don't have this is the best defense of the Chiefs of the Mahomes era by far. And I think they're gonna make life a little bit too difficult for Brock Purdy for him to win the game. So check 1-2. You good?
Perfect.
Yeah, like I can actually it's I don't know. I don't know if it was me or you.
Give me just enough time to go play some bets.
All right, man. Who you got for this game? We can jump into battle rap, man.
Who do I have winning the game?
Yes.
I have the Chiefs winning the game 31-26.
I said 21-10. Chiefs.
Wow, you think the Chiefs are going to hold your Niners to 10 points?
I think that the defense is going to be too good. I think they're going to make Brock's life really difficult. I hope I'm wrong, obviously. Like I want to listen. If the Niners win this game, you better believe as soon as that broadcast is over, I'm live. I'm live. And I'm coming back again probably on Monday to recap the recap. Like I'm gonna be on it. But yeah, I just think my concern is defensively, this is going to be a Baltimore Raven-like defense that is going to try to trick Brock Purdy, make life really difficult for him. And not that I don't think he is incapable of it, of figuring it out. I just think between that, the defense has been subpar, and you can be subpar against Jared Goff. You can be subpar against Jordan Love. But we're talking about the best quarterback in the game, and you can't be subpar against him. And I think that's going to be the downfall.
The one thing I don't like about your prediction is you think the Chiefs are not going to shoot themselves in the foot and have to kick a field goal at all the entire game. Like they're not just getting 3 touchdowns. Like it's just not Chiefs. It's just not Chiefs like. But kicking at least 1 field goal.
I could see them having a game kind of like how the Dolphins game in Germany went, where it's like it's 21-0, right? And the Dolphins end up making the game out of it in the second half. So I can see them jumping out to a big lead, and then they just kind of like the Ravens game. Yeah. Mahomes manages the game. He becomes a game manager. He does what he needs to do to win the game. Yeah. Last thing, and we were moving to battle rap. If the Chiefs do win, right, and Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP, all time, 3? Oh, 2. That was an ad placement. Got it. Product placement. Got it. 2 behind
2.
Brady.
Yeah, he's still behind Brady. I mean, come on. He's talking about 7 rings, right? 7? I think Brady got
7 rings. Mahomes would be at 3 by the age of 28.
Yeah, he can't pass Brady yet. I mean,
if he gets to 5, let's say he gets to 5.
Yeah, because if he gets to 5, he's probably gonna have already passed him in every statistical category as well.
Yeah.
Like I think those matter too. So by the time he gets to 5, I don't know. I mean, because Brady played so many years, it might be more difficult. But I think that Brady wasn't throwing for 400 yards a game his first 6 years or whatever. You know how Mahomes. I mean, I think if he gets to 5, it's because to me, if Peyton Manning had 4 or 5, I would argue that Peyton Manning's the GOAT. You know what I mean? I think Peyton Manning's big thing was playoffs and actual rings. And so I think that Patrick Mahomes, if he gets another one, he passes up Peyton Manning and Joe Montana. In my opinion, because I probably would have him at 4 right now.
Yeah, so I think I've seen somebody categorize it as Mahomes has the best peak of any quarterback all time. Brady still has the most impressive resume.
Yeah.
Which I think is 100% true. I think that if he wins, man, I still can't put him past Montana yet.
If this was like a top 50 list, Let's Talk Battle Rap would leave him off completely because what he's done has only happened in the last like 6 years.
We're gonna maybe in a couple of weeks when there's no more football, maybe I'll see if France 1 can join us or anybody from the Let's Talk Battle Rap team for that matter, and we can have a conversation about this list.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, not to deviate from the conversation, I understand what they were doing, and with all due respect to you, I kind of agree with what they did there. You can obviously Real Deal, you can make arguments for guys like Real Deal, Enes, any of those kind of like YouTube era legends, grind time era legends who have put up an incredible resume and body of work. But again, when you look at kind of guys from your era, Geechee, Nitty, Twerk, I think are the only ones.
Av.
Okay, Av. I mean, I count Av as kind of late YouTube era, but you can throw him in there. So out of 50 names, 4 of them are from your era. All the rest of them are from Lions Den, Grind Time, YouTube, Smack DVD, right? World Rap Championship. So I understand what he was trying to do. He's paying homage to that era in particular. And so it's going to be hard for guys like yourself, a Chef Trez, a JC. JC wasn't on there, was he?
Yeah, he was on there.
Okay. Anyway, but you understand the point I'm making, right? Guys who I think are kind of like
Easy to Block Captain, Briz Rothstein.
I mean, respectfully, I don't think Easy should be in the running for that. He's too new.
Yeah.
Right. Everything for Easy is within the last like 3 years. Like respectfully, what he's done is impressive. But respectfully, like, guys like yourself, Chef Trez. I'm trying to think of some other guys who are around that list around your era who should possibly be there but are not. But so I love to have them talk about it. All right. So, but getting back to Mahomes, I think that it's hard for me to put him past Montana. I think he would pass Manning. Man, as much as I love like Marino and Elway, I think he's got to go to 3. I think he's got to go. I would have Montana in front of him in part because all of Montana's Super Bowl performances were so crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would put him 3 at that point. But
now, does it matter? Does it matter if he wins the MVP of the Super Bowl or not?
No, I think a win, whether or not he's an MVP or not, I don't think it matters. Let me ask you this, and we can move on seriously. Shout out Dre Senior. The homie Dre said, if Travis Kelce has a performance like he has in the Super Bowl, like he had in Baltimore, that he's going to be the MVP. Do you agree?
Of course.
Why?
If Kelce has like an 11 catch, 116 yard, 1 touchdown, the only way he's going to be the MVP is if Mahomes throws like a pick or only has like one touchdown. You know, like Mahomes, they're not going to give him MVP if Mahomes has 2 or 3 touchdowns, 250, and goes, 21 for 29. Like Mahomes is still getting the MVP, But let's say Pacheco runs one in, Mahomes throws 1 touchdown pass, he throws for 250, you know what I mean? And Kelsey's got a 10 catch, 120 yard. Oh yeah. Come on now. What?
I disagree. Now his reasoning was it's because of marketing. Okay, so you're on the same page with him. He said it's a marketing thing. He's like, if he has that kind of performance because of everything that is now surrounding Travis Kelce, that he is without a doubt. Like he said, no brainer.
It's always a marketing thing. Damian Williams was the MVP of the Super Bowl.
So we had that conversation, and I disagree from this standpoint. I think Mahomes after that interception, he leads them on 3 touchdown drives. Now, yes, Damian has 2 of those, right? But he leads them on 3 touchdown drives. He has the 54-yard pass to Tyreek Hill that breaks the game, the biggest gain of the game, or biggest gainer from that game. gets them into the end zone by hitting Kelsey, leads them back down the field, scores again. That's the Damian Williams. And then that final drive, I say 2.5 drives because Damian Williams does the heavy lifting on the last drive because he scores a touchdown. I'm not mad with them giving Mahomes the MVP because he had 3 total touchdowns, right? He ran in 1 in the first half. So I think even though he has the interception, he's got 3 total touchdowns, probably 250 to 60 yards in that game. And down 10, under 10 minutes left in the game, he leads them on 3 drives. Damian Williams did have a great case, though, because I think he might have had over 100 total yards of offense and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I just think that Mahomes is going to have something like an interception or, 18 for 37. You know what I mean? Like 205. Something's going to have to be a knock on Mahomes, for Kelsey to have 10 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown, and get it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Cooper Kupp, did he win the MVP?
He did. So here's the thing. Matthew Stafford threw 2 interceptions.
Okay.
And I think it becomes harder to justify him being MVP when you turn it over twice. And Cooper had like 9 catches for like 90-something yards and I think 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And you got to remember, too, Odell Beckham, who I think might have caught the other touchdown, started off really hot, tears his ACL in that game, right? And so at that point of the season, Odell had become a really, really good number 2. And he was tearing the Bengals up, and he gets hurt. So I think that put more pressure on Cooper. He comes through and has a really good game. And so that to me, that's why he got the MVP.
Well, man, listen, like I don't know that the tight ends ever won the MVP of a Super Bowl. I mean, that might be a stat to look up. I do believe that if Kelsey has the same amount of touchdowns as Patrick Mahomes has, he's the MVP.
No tight end has ever won Super Bowl MVP.
And like this year, some things just make sense. You know what I mean? If Mahomes throws 2 touchdowns and Kelsey catches them both, let's say Kelsey has 8 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's the MVP.
Okay. To me, it's all because it is a quarterback league and because it is Patrick Mahomes. It will all depend on what those stats look like.
And then that next day, Supercuts, come get the MVP fade.
Yo, I definitely made that same joke when we were at the house talking about that, and my family was like, I can't believe these people out here talking about Travis Kelce, is the innovator of the fade. And I said, listen, them folk going to the Supercut, going crazy. Like great clips. Yeah, I want the Travis Kelce. They going crazy.
P fade. Oh yeah, they can't wait for that.
That is hilarious, yo. All right, last thing, go out the door on this thing. There are 3 quarterbacks at this point who have winning records over Patrick Mahomes. Do you know who those 3 quarterbacks are?
Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Tom Brady.
Negative. Brady's 3-3.
3-3. Oh.
Winning record.
A winning record over Patrick Mahomes. So Joe, you said there's 3 of them?
3.
Is it Matt Stafford or Jared Goff?
Jared Goff is 2. The third one, I don't think you're going to get. So I don't.
Bortles.
Negative. That would be hilarious. He is still in the league. He is a former
Marcus Mariota.
You're in the neighborhood.
Oh, then it's Ryan Tannehill. Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill is 2-1 against Patrick Mahomes. So in his illustrious career thus far, only 3 quarterbacks can say they have a winning record against him. I think you posted a stat of if he's 14-3, he would have to lose his next 10 playoff games in a row to equal Peyton Manning.
You can't lose 2 playoff games in a row.
Well, I'm just saying, he would have to, he would have to go 10 years in a row of losing playoff games in order to have the same playoff record as Peyton Manning. And that to me is wild. That is insane to me.
Insane stat, man. That is just
all right.
stat.
All right.
The other stat I saw today.
Yeah.
He has the highest. I think it's in the last 10 years. He is the highest percentage of winning as an underdog. He's 9-3, 75% of the time he wins as an underdog.
Wow.
And Lamar Jackson was like 65%. And Jimmy Garoppolo was third as the underdog, most wins. So
what a bum. All right, last thing. Actually, I keep saying last thing, but this is the last thing. I want to play this because my screen is actually working, man.
Yeah.
So I promise not to lose my mind like this if the Chiefs happen to win the game and I get mad about narratives. So can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let me see if I can play it. I gotta go. Let me know if you can hear this.
I can hear it fine now. I got my headphones on. My furnace just came on and kind of got loud.
Fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You get the audacity, the nerve, the unmitigated gall to get on social media and tell me that they didn't run the ball against the 26th ranked defense. Let me tell you something. After Derrick Henry owned their soul for 225 yards, you want to know what the average per game for the Kansas City Chiefs was for the rest of the season?
89 yards.
You're close. It was 95 yards per game they gave up. Based on what the rest of the league did, that would have put them 5th in the league for the rest of the season. You want to throw in the playoffs? You want to know what they were when you add the playoffs to that, which is a 9-game sample size. Playoffs, yes. 9-game sample size. 98 yards a game, which would have made them 7th in the league. You call yourself a fan and you follow dumb narratives that have not been true for half a season.
A1. You're talking to two people who are never going to listen to this podcast.
I'm going to send this to Shot. Oh, he's getting the full clip.
Hold on. Let me get that out of here.
The people that actually watch this right now, they're saying, wait a minute, you guys have been doing this for 4 years. You've been doing this podcast for 4 years and we have no clue.
Oh, man. Yeah, so...
When was our first episode? How many years ago was our first episode?
Ooh, I got to look that up. Probably like...
It's got to be like 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
So you got to remember, like, the first like 2 or 3 episodes I did solo dolo. I think because, like, you obviously your life is busy, so you couldn't join. I just wanted to get it started. So that has to be... It's probably got to be like 7 or 8, to be honest. Yeah. Like, it has been 7 or 8 really inconsistent years. But that's all in the past. Like, we're more consistent now. We're more consistent. We're doing more shows. I am more comfortable if you can't make it of getting on here solo dolo doing the show. And so, yeah, we getting there. We getting there. Keep rocking with us, though. Keep sharing. Keep commenting. Keep hollering at people. I actually have people at work who approached me about my TikToks. Yo, I saw your TikTok online, and not just people I work with, like actual strangers coming to me like, yo, I saw you on TikTok, and I'm like, that's wild. Like, you don't even have my number, right? Because if you have people's number, right, like it's going to put you in the algorithm.
Yeah.
I'll find out exactly how long it's been, but I think it's been like 7 years. It's 7 or 8 years.
Cool. Hey, man.
All right, man.
Good luck to you in that aspect, man. In the Super Bowl, man. I hope you don't. But if there's one of my friends that deserves, I was looking to see if North Carolina blew it again or not. But if there's one of my friends, they did, that deserves, for their teams to win. As long as it's not Notre Dame, I'm cool with any of your other teams winning.
Dang, they lost at home too.
Yeah, they came all the way back. We're down 1 after being down like 15 at halftime.
Yikes. It happens. I mean, all the top seeds except for UConn is losing.
Everybody's losing. Yeah, everybody's losing games. Like
everybody except UConn. UConn is the only one who's not losing.
Yep.
So yeah, okay. Well, yeah, they beat Duke. I can live with that.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
That's the one game I thought they were going to lose too, and they put it on Duke. They didn't play around.
So let's talk battle rap, man. Let's get into this real quick. We can close out the show. So, Smack had an interview he did with Hip Hop Is Real, I believe. Covered a couple of topics. I know the first clip I saw said that this year he was going to be addressing, like he was tired of kind of being behind the scenes and letting people talk crazy on their name. And And so he said he's going to be addressing everything. And then another clip from that interview dropped this week, and Smack said that the big bag era was over, that the money's not there anymore, the sponsorship's not there, YouTube's not paying, and you won't be able to see. I think, in that caffeine era, you were getting like an event like once a month, once every other month from URL. On top of the app events, like you might see them pop out for a live event maybe 2 or 3 times this year. And so there's been a lot of uproar about Battle Rap is dead, because obviously people connect Battle Rap with URL. And if URL is not flourishing, then Battle Rap isn't flourishing. So I wanted to get your take on all the hubbub about Battle Rap and the big bag era and what this means for not only URL, but for the culture in general.
Well, as someone who is sad because apparently there was a big bag era that I was never a part of, no, I think that I think what Smack did, and I think people kind of don't give them the benefit of the doubt, URL, and how strategic they are. I think a lot of times people just think, these cameras pop up and, Smack just says whatever he's thinking, or, I think what he said was a very strategic, comment. I think, he wanted to kind of reset the minds of battle rappers and reset, the minds of the fans, and just kind of put some things in perspective. And he wanted to publicly say it so that we would have these conversations, and so that people would be like, oh, snap, Uncle Smack really, really talking that talk. You know what I mean? And so the whole big bag, he could have just said we're not with caffeine anymore. You know what I mean? Because that big bag era was attached to caffeine. So, a lot of people know they partner with caffeine. Like, battle rappers were literally getting double and triple the amount that they were getting at the time for these caffeine events, because caffeine comes with a budget, and they say, use this whole budget. And I don't believe, I'm not like a complete insider, but I don't believe it was, well, if you can get them to do it for this, you could pocket the rest of it. I'm pretty sure it was hey, here's what we got, pay these guys, So they're like, hey, let me give you this. Let me give you this bag, boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden everybody's making a lot more money. That's when you started getting battlers say, I only want to do caffeine events. I don't want to do the app events. I only want to do caffeine events. That's when. And I think what happened was, I think URL expected more loyalty out of a lot of the battlers than they really got. Yeah. I expected, put all of this money and started getting you paid and everything like that. And then at the first chance of, oh, y'all still out here complaining, I can't put my battle on YouTube. I can't, you know what I mean? Which things I've always said that I wouldn't like to have either. But like, bro, I put all this money in your pockets and y'all still out here. You know what I mean? All right, well, bet. Guess what? Caffeine, that whole relationship, I don't know where it's at. I don't know if there's been an announcement made that they're not doing it or what, but it seems to me like caffeine is scaled back and doing a lot less. I think strategically he said, guess what? We back to square, we resetting this. We're taking our first quarter and we're looking at the budget, and then we'll get back to you. But we're not just throwing this bread. At one point in time, I don't know. That Philly, remember, didn't we have Freeway and Cassidy like they were supposed to battle? Right? And then right now, another thing, you got Mook and you got Hitman going back and forth with each other, and they are two of the most, lucrative big bag guys in battle rap, And so I don't know if that's another way of him saying like, hey, I see everything y'all talking trash about the third, but I'm not, don't come to me like I need that amount. You know what I mean? So I think it's a strategic thing for URL. I laughed, but I think it was very, very true. And I think you saw the tweet too that Luke Castro said, and he's like, Smack's talking about the $50,000 dudes, not you $1,500 battlers, like y'all safe. You know what I mean? And so a hilarious tweet, because it's true. Like, you got people on Twitter like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna. It's like, nah, bro, you was getting 1,500, you was getting 1,000. Don't worry, your bus ticket still paid for. They're gonna, we're gonna need that content. You're good. You know what I mean? I think it was just a message sent to Mook, Hitman, maybe even industry battlers that think they want to jump back in the ring, or those guys, this is like, yo, like, we're not about to waste our entire budget anymore on these big battles. We got an app to feed content to, we got a roster of 100 people. We're going to invest in these young dudes and we're going to build them up, because those big bags, like an easy to block captain, turn around a jet. It's like, dang, we expected y'all to hold us down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely think it's interesting. You could definitely see Caffeine. Obviously, last year was kind of put the battle rap culture on notice, right? And what you had Kings versus Queens, you had Summer Madness. I think Homecoming was live on Caffeine, and then Known.
Yeah,
and
so
I don't think
4 or 5 events, maybe.
4. Yeah, there may have been a 5th one that I don't remember, but I think that was it.
Yeah, the days of the super fights every month and the days of all of that are, they're
the
going.
light works and all of that stuff like that. That appears for now to be done at least on URL. My hope for URL is that they are able to. To me, there are two additional ways of getting revenue. I think it is having people subscribe to YouTube and rebuilding your standing that way. If people want to watch the battles, right, you can still feed the app first. For those who want to be faithful to the app, they can do so. For those who want YouTube drops, maybe you don't put the entire catalog on there because, yes, you do want to drive people to the app, but then some of those newer guys that you're trying to build up, in my opinion, or maybe a big time battle that is going to get 2-3 million views, you say, yo, 2 months, 3 months after it's been on the app, now here's a drop for the streets. But if you want to see it first, you got to pay us $8.99 a month, like whatever the subscription rates are. Because I think even iBattle, has a subscription where when they drop, if you don't have the app, when they drop battles on YouTube, if you're part of their subscriber community, they get it first for like a couple of days, a week. I don't know how long the length of time is. Then it drops on YouTube for free for everyone else to consume. Get that subscription-based service, and those who want to pay on YouTube can get it. And then they wait another month or two, and then it drops for free. To me, that's another additional revenue stream. If the Caffeine era is done, I don't think it's done because they're still running, if not maybe URL content, they're running other leagues content, right? Like we've seen, I think, Chilla's league. Is it the Shark Tank?
TBL
Total,
Shark Tank. They kind of got
okay. Right, TBL Shark Tank. You've seen Tay-Rock's No Entourage on there, right? Yeah. Gates of the Garden has been on there. OSBL has been on there, right? So you've seen different leagues on the channel. So maybe it's not completely dead, but the day that it completely dies, I would love to see them put everything into their app and then run it straight from the app and have people, if you want to watch Redemption 3, which they just filmed, if you want to watch Rookies versus Vets, if you are interested at all, then let's sign up for the app and then try to build in, because I do think there's something to this idea of battle rappers who, these newer guys who come in, they get on URL, they get on not just URL or RBE or whatever, and they think, oh, I made it. I deserve Tay-Rock now. Or I deserve Shotgun Suge now. Or I deserve A-Ward if we're talking like an RBE type battle, right? You got to build up. You can't just come in the door and expect to get the top names, right? There has to be something about yourself where there has to be some fan demand. And so if it's possible for even not just URL, but even RBE, I know King of the Dot has done this, right? Where they've given out pay-per-view links to say, you want to buy the pay-per-view, buy it from the battle rapper, because that allows them to gauge fan demand for that particular artist. Build some of that stuff in so these guys can see, yo, ex-battler, you showed up thinking your stuff don't stink or whatever, but when people sign up for the app, they're not signing up for you. They're not buying this pay-per-view because of you. So we want to do true artist development. Here's how if you want to be that guy, then you have to get on your P's and Q's and make yourself a fan favorite, make yourself marketable, doing vlogs, doing all those things. So
I think that's tough because I don't know if URL wants to know how important some battlers are, if they want them to know how important they are. And I definitely know some battlers don't want to know how not important they are. You know what I mean? And so, because my thought process is like, yo, you sign up for the app, right? Why is there not a survey immediately that says, hey, select 5 battlers, that brought you to this app? Not one, because one is like, then you got to pick your favorite. Let's just say you're 5, Let's say like, Twerk, T-Top, Loso, Tay-Rock, and Geechee Gotti. Boom. You know what I mean? You can take that and then you can say like, hey, check this out. This is who people come to watch. You know what I mean? And then, but then when you show Twerk that he's the number 1 guy, now Twerk says, oh, that big bag era is gone. That's funny because, you know what I mean?
But I mean, you gotta pay, but I mean, you have to pay people accordingly, right? Like, I think you have to be careful not to overinflate. But I do think who your stars are, right? Like I think Tay-Rock talked about it. Like, I don't think he's going to be taking a pay cut, right? I don't think Twerk in the run that he's been on, I don't think URL can say to him, well, remember when you were choking and you had to do a band battle against Chess to get the public sentiment back on your side? Like, they can't do that right now. Twerk has been one of on the best runs in a minute.
Here's what's tough, man. And I don't even know if saying this puts me in, because I'm definitely, I definitely don't want to make enemies, right? But here's the tough part about it is this is a multi-million-dollar business, right? When I hear Smack talk about big bag era is gone, I don't hear Smack saying, I'm not making as much money as I used to, right? I don't look at it that way, right? So what I am saying is URL with Caffeine and with the amount of events that they were putting on and with them trying to become a monopoly on the culture and trying to sign everybody and get these guys and get them on exclusive and you're over here, right? With that, they provided employment and job opportunities for a lot of battle rappers. And for a couple years, 2-3 years, they gave them opportunities to make thousands of dollars every month, right? A lot of battle rappers got used to making thousands of dollars of every month. Guess what they did? They started living a different way. They buy a car. They quit a job. They do this. I'm one of Smack's gunners. I'm making this. I'm making this. I'm making this. Boom. The well runs dry. Just like a drug dealer, right? Just like a drug dealer, you got your fiends that need that, right? Now, these same fiends, can you do this battle on a week notice, 2-week notice for this amount? Yeah, because I need bread. I need content. I need money. You need content, And now you're starting to get lack of quality in battles. You're starting to get forced battles. You're starting to get all of this stuff, and you're starting to get battlers, and I'm just using Tay-Rock as an example, who used to just be able to do 2 or 3 battles a year. And now you're popping up and you're like, yo, Tay-Rock's battling here and he's battling here and he's battling here. And I don't want to say that to say that Tay-Rock is one of these guys. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, but there's this quality control and this like content driven, forced, like everything just to get battles that was like driven up from, everybody being like, yo, I'm making bread. And it's a tough situation. But like when Smack says, hey, the big bags are gone or whatever, trying to reset the culture and trying to get people to, hey, you're going to realize you got to take a little bit less. You got to take a little bit less. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know. I don't know like what the foreseeable future looks like. If he's saying like events are scaling back or if he's just saying the money is scaling back. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's both. Like, I feel like, to me, I think URL is going to have, they've always put on 4 or 5 app events a year at minimum. At least from my knowledge, not knowing off the top of my head, you're always going to have 4 to 5. But again, we probably won't see Kings versus Queens this year, right? I think we're going to get Gnome, Summer Madness, maybe Homecoming,
and probably a volume.
Maybe because they can pull it off as a small room event. But I mean, if we're lucky, and again, to me, that's not a bad thing. I think to me, it forces MCs to go on the road, go to a Riot, a Black Ice. Black Ice is back, right? I know Chicago's had some events, OSBL, Shark Tank, No Entourage, right? If Bullpen, right? It forces them to hit the road, take their game on the road and see how it translates, because I do think in some instances, always performing at home can be a detriment to you because you're used to getting that crowd response. I think it forces them to get on their grind, and it's going to be a sink or swim. Listen, There may be guys who ultimately have to leave the culture because they have to get a 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And they just cannot, because of the cutbacks, because there's not an event every month or every other month that they can get on, a band legacy, a one-rounder Joan, a light work, whatever, they have to get a 9 to 5. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. Do what you got to do to feed your family and survive. But
I like
for those,
Real Deal's tweet. Did you see Real Deal's tweet? He's like,
now what he say?
He said, with Smack saying, the big bags are gone and like, now everybody having to get jobs, like, is it now going to be cool to have a job in battle raps?
Listen, man, battle rappers are like lawyers. They can take anything and spin it into a negative. Anything and spin it into a negative. But now, man, like, these guys are going to have to get on their grind, and either it's sink or swim time, right? Either you got what it takes to do this full time, or again, there's nothing wrong with saying, yo, the bag's not there, the opportunities aren't there. I don't have a demand outside of URL right now. So let me go find something hopefully legal to do that can hold me down until I can get back in that ring.
And
on
I
a regular
use that
basis.
analogy just from experience. You know me, I battle a lot. You know what I mean? Like when you battle a lot like me and you're used to like battle rap checks, I kept my full-time job. I never went full-time battle rapper. You know what I mean? But when you're used to battle rap checks coming in, and the well runs dry, or now, hey, I'm only battling once, in a couple months or whatever, you gotta start like, dang, what if I get a one-rounder in North Dakota? I ain't never battled there before. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. It's tough because, if you're a professional battle rapper, if you do this like on a full-time level, like a bunch of us, like, like you enjoy doing it, you enjoy getting paid, to do it. And so it's definitely tough to navigate through. But yeah, I think the URL is just kind of trying to reset the minds of some people in how they approach it, because, there's probably some still battlers that are just like, yo, but I just got paid this last year for this. And it's like, I hate to tell you, bro, but that money last year ain't the same money as this year.
So final question, we can get out of here. If you were on that roster, and I mean, we're going to call it for what we're going to say, for better or worse, it's budget cuts, right? You know that you won't be able to hit the URL brand as much as you did in 2023 and previous years. What's your game plan to make sure that you are still active and your name is still out here in the streets? What's your game plan?
Well, so, one thing, if I'm on the roster, like the one thing, if I'm a roster guy, right? Like this is my league, right? I'm having an honest conversation with them. I'm having an honest conversation with them that says, hey, I'm a part of your roster. You know what I mean? You're saying, here's these budget cuts. That's fine. I'm rocking with you. However, you understand just the same way I understand it. If you're budget cutting this, and this is the expectation from me, I need your blessing, and I need you to understand that I'm going to go find a way to compensate myself for what you're not able to do for me. And, so I'm looking at different options that way, because what I'm not going to do is like, nah, forget that and just run over here and jump on another competing league, and diss Smack in my third round, talk about he ain't got big back. I'm not doing that, because like I said, I think Smack just wants to see who's loyal. He wants to come out and say, yo, the bread ain't there like it was before. And he wants to see who's making blogs right now talking crazy. He wants to see, he wants to know like who's in it. Like, yo, I'm riding with you. You know what I mean? I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off. So I'm having that conversation with them. Like, hey, if you're saying I can only get 2-3 battles this year, you know what I mean? And the expectation is here, here's where my expectation is. Here's what I want to do,
Okay. So they say that's cool. Just no Chrome, no RBE. You can battle anywhere else. KOTD, we cool with. Riot, we cool with. John, we cool with. iBattle, we cool with. Just not them two.
I say, you know what? I'm going to do my best to uphold to that, conversation that we've had. And if in the next quarter, 3-4 months, it's not working out, I don't know what to tell you, except RBE. Like that's all I'm saying is, like you can't, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's like working for any other company. Your job comes and says, hey, boom, hey, we're doing budget cuts, but you can't go work at Home Depot. You work for Lowe's. You know what I mean? I got the decision to say, guess what? I really do rock with y'all, but I quit. And so that's going to be the tough thing. The thing about it is URL. You know, you can't really quit URL. You know, it's very, very few people have quit URL, and URL doesn't. From what I feel is, I feel like URL will always bring you back. Like Vada says, if you cook and they book, and they'll always find a way to get that, to get that person back. There might be a couple people that are on there will never book you again, but
I mean, I'm not saying that they've had that conversation, but boy, it's been a long time since Ill Will been over there. It's been a long time. I mean, I say that they will freeze you out. I remember when Summer Madness 7, when all the rappers are choking, Floyd Mayweather's there. Every battle rapper got booked within like the next 3 to 4 months, except for Matt Hoffa. Matt Hoffa sat for a good minute. He might have went to RBE in that meantime, but he was not booked for a minute. So while they will, I think at some point bring you back, and maybe that's a behind the scenes conversation too that has to happen of mending offenses, or whatever. Because I do think, like you said, they are not as so hard hearted that they will never bring you back. But I think there has to be some conversation that happen behind the scenes. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate that. Like, that's our time. Anything else you want to say on that before we close it out?
Yo, we got 5 battles in a row starting this weekend. A-Ward versus Hunter Bullets this weekend in Ottawa, Ontario. Next weekend, Rochester, New York, upstate New York. A-Ward versus Story St. James on On-Site Battle League. The next weekend, A-Ward and Loso battling Mac Myron and Clean Paper in a 1-rounder on Anybody Can Die Battle League. The battle is in Pontiac, Michigan, in Mac Myron's backyard, literally in his back. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's literally in his backyard or not. A week after that, A-Ward versus Bonnie Godiva, headlining in New York City on Queen of the Ring. And then a week after that, A-Ward versus Bangs in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Whenever you guys ask me at the end of every year, in the beginning of the next year, A-Ward, are you going to do as many battles this year as you did last year? And I always say, well, I don't. The answer is yes. So I've already done 1. I got 5. I have 6 booked. I have 5 announced, another 1 booked, and then supposed to get a deposit this weekend for quite possibly the biggest battle of the year for me. So be on the lookout, be excited, and we'll talk after you click the "We're Not Live" button anymore.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I'm like, that last one, I'm like, wait, I ain't heard about that one. Okay, cool. So we get this last comment on the way out the door. Man, listen, I can go pull the clip of him saying, yeah, I think I'm going to battle like 8 to 10 times next year. I think I'm going to take it easy, chill out. And then now it's 5 battles in 5 weeks. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. But, all right, man. Yeah.
However, my rounds for Bullets are done. I have almost a round done for Bonnie. I have a half a round done for Story St. James. Like, I'm low-key way ahead writing-wise than I've had. Like, normally, I'm writing the day before, for the battle. So I battle Bullets on Saturday. All 3 rounds done, mostly memorized. So I'm writing right now for everybody else. So I'm feeling good. Mom, I can't tell you this one. Mama. Mama's on too many blogs. She gonna slip up. she gonna restore order announces A-Ward versus, No.
Dre, I'll tell you when I'm done. I'll tell you when I'm off the line.
Call me on 3-way is like the most old man thing. Like y'all really y'all gotta go on somewhere. Call me from your landline.
All right. So please remember, you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for It's a Black and White Thing or Brains and Bars. Please rate, review, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's them boys again. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook by searching at Brains and Bars. Follow, leave comments, share that as well. I am award.com. I am awardmerch.com.
I'm awardshop.com. It's been so long since we've actually shouted it out. I need to see. It's either imawardmerch.com or imawardshop.com. I think it's I'm one or the other. Anyways, thanks. I can follow me on all social media. And
Until next time, it's been a Black
and White
Thing, man. I'll holler at y'all next week. Y'all be easy. Go Niners.
Hey, cheese.